And before we go, here is the word of the week from Beth Townsend.
Wow, it's the month of August, and back to school is in full swing all across the nation. And it's always a great time to ask ourselves the question, what have you learned from what you've learned? As we think about education, it's a great opportunity to think about, you know what? I believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The question is, are we students that are ready? I'm going to tell you a story about a man that taught me this lesson. When my dad was on his 9th wife, I know, it's crazy, his 9th wife had horses. And she was mentally ill, so she wasn't taking care of the horses. So I thought, I'm going to go out and check on these horses. I was a tomboy. I love being outside. And I thought, this is perfect for me. I'm going to love this. The problem is I knew nothing about horses. So I go to the barn. They're being taken care of. But I go to the barn and I start emulating what other people are doing. But I avoid this one man. He ran the barn. He was mean, he was gruff, and he looked at me like, you need to stay far away from me. So I did. So week goes by after week goes by. I pretend to be a cowgirl, and one day I decided I wanted to ride the horse. And I knew I needed help. So I sheepishly go over to Mr. Elmo, who I'd been avoiding for weeks, and he'd been avoiding me for weeks. And I asked him a question. I said, Mr. Elmo, can you please help me? And he put his tools aside and he looked at me, and for the first time our eyes met. And he said, good God, girl, I thought you would never ask. See, he had been waiting to help me, but in my ignorance, he was waiting to see my humility. Not only did he help me ride that day, he helped me go on to compete in horse shows and rodeos. The man I once feared became a mentor and someone I really depended on. He taught me a lot about horses. I learned a lot about that over my life because I think about when we say our prayers, we say petitions, but in Ephesians 1, it talks about wisdom. When we seek the Lord's wisdom and we seek that our eyes would be open, that our hearts would be enlightened, that the fullness of the Holy Spirit would live within us, we begin to walk in the fullness of His power, because purpose is power. So ask yourself, what have you learned from what you've learned? Are you a student ready to accept the next great life lesson? Turn to Ephesians 1. Turn to the Mr. Elmos in your life, because you know what? Learning is a life on purpose, and that is for all of us to learn every day.
Awesome. I absolutely love her. What a great storyteller. What a great story. What a great message. And if you want more of the prayer link, you can now get it by following us on Instagram. I love Instagram. I love this picture of us, Wendy. Follow us on Instagram.